Hello, hello, checking connection. Well, hi everyone. Welcome to Agile Retrospectives webinar. Today we'll talk about smart ways to diversify your Agile retros. My name is Rita, and I will conduct this session today for you. I see that people keep joining the stream, and we'll just wait for a few moments so that everyone can join and don't miss the start. Before we start, could you just let me know if you can hear me well, if you can see me well? I hope my connection is well behaving today. Just let me know in the comments, please. Oh, thanks. I see that everything seems to be fine with the sound. So, yeah, we will start just in a few minutes. Okay, I think we are good to start. Just another introduction. My name is Rita, and I will conduct this session today for you. We will talk about smart ways to diversify your Agile retros. I'm sure you've heard a lot about that it's important to diversify your retros, but how you can do that, this is the topic of our today's webinar. This webinar is number 6 in the series of the sessions held on this channel. So that if you are new today, it's your first time, just feel free to check out the previous sessions where we talk not only about retros, but also about dailies, where we talk about health checks. I'm sure you will find something for you, something for your inspiration. This session will last around 40 minutes. And at the end, we will have a short Q&A session. You've sent quite a lot of questions during registration. And if you have any questions during the webinar, just feel free to add them to the comments box. I will quickly check them and try to answer most interesting ones. Let's start. Why I'm talking in front of you today. Who am I? I'm a product manager at a product Timbo. This is a product for conducting Scrum events. Actually, I'm a member of a software development team, and I've been managing projects and Scrum teams for quite a long time. And thanks to pandemic and thanks to last year, we understood that we need something for ourselves, something that could help us continue what we did well offline. So this is how a product was born, Timbo, and now we can share it with other users, and we hope that it's going to be useful for them as well. So let's move on to the problem area. I'm sure that every Scrum Master sooner or later is going to be a part of that circle. If retros get boring, involvement of the team goes down, it will mean that retro stops working. There are few new insights, or probably none of them at all. It will mean that your process will not be improved. If you are not improving, if you're not inspecting and adapting, sooner or later your team will be not great at achieving bigger goals. We know those problems, they are well known, and one of the solutions to them is diversifying your retros, and you probably know that. But how can you do that? How you can diversify them? There are loads of techniques on the internet, and they seem all great, but how would you choose the one for your next retro? Shall it just be random, or which one is best? Will it work? Will the team like it? Will it help activate out-of-the-box thinking, and will it solve the problem? That's the question. So what we are going to talk about today is how you can choose retrospective templates based on the context your team is now and your process is now. So we will talk about templates and techniques that can help you achieve different focus on action points, on your team goals, on processes. We will talk about ideas for different project stages, like which ones are best for the start, for the end, for end of milestone, or after a tough sprint. And we will touch a topic of which ones are great for team motivation and for this creative thinking activation. So let's start, and we will start with the start. Imagine that this is probably this is your first project with the team, or this is just the first sprint in the year. So this is the start, and you probably know how important it is to start smooth, correctly, and do the processes great from the very beginning. So let's look at main objectives that you might want to achieve during your first retro with the team. Of course, the team might not know each other well, and you would like to motivate them. You would like to start building the team, some team spirit. This may fall down into your first retro. Of course, it's important to remind the values of retro, set up baseline of your process metrics if you're measuring any, and focus on the action points yet to be done. These are the objectives that you might look at, but let's look at techniques that may help you achieve that. So how would you start your first retro? Remember, you want to build a team and you want everyone to know each other better. So I will show you three techniques. They are all great. The first one is two truth and a lie. I'm sure you might have played it somewhere with your friends, but it can also work for starting your first retro. You can ask every team member to write 3 facts about themselves. 2 of them is going to be truth and 1 is a lie. And then everyone simply try to guess which one is a lie. And these facts can be personal, or these facts can be something from their job, from experience, from working environment. Why not? The idea is just to play a little, to make it more informal, and to laugh a little, to play. That's going to help. The only possible disadvantage of this is that it's not really quick. If your team is big, it might take you long to play that. Hence, you can choose a more quicker technique. And this is a profile picture. Simply ask every team member to share 1 picture that best describes them. It might be a picture of them doing their hobby, or it might be some emotional picture. They can give a few words to accompany that, and tell something about themselves, and possibly some members of the team will find something in common, and surely that would help them to feel each other better. And the third one here is actually a mixture of a few techniques, and it's called just one slide. This is also actually great if you have a kickoff meeting, if you have separate meeting where you can spend more time on building the team. But if you don't have that, you can use your retro for that. So the idea of just one slide is that you ask your team members to give just one slide presentation about themselves. You can give a template for them, like which information they should provide, some personal, like how old are you, what's your experience, something not so formal, like hobbies or anything else, and something that that is related to the project. For example, what they expect of it, how they're going to help this project, what they feel the goals are. So something again to share their expectations, and as well something not so formal. So these are the ideas that can help you start and build the team a little. What if the team already knows each other? For example, there might be teams that know each other well. They work in the same office, for example, but they haven't really worked together on a project yet. So you know informal things about them, but you need to start with something. And here I would recommend a technique which is called ESVP. So the idea is that you ask everyone to relate themselves to one of the groups: explorers, vacationers, shoppers, and prisoners. Who are explorers? People who are ready to research, who are active, and who came to retro in order to give as many ideas as they have. These will be active people. Vacationer. This one is going to be reluctant to take part, but at the same time they love going to retros because it's just a change, and it's something that stops them from doing their regular work. Shopper is a positive person who might be not that active as explorer, but they are happy if there's at least something that comes out of the retro, maybe just one action point that's worth it. And prisoners, those who attend retros because they must. If you do that technique on your first retro, you will manage expectations of yourself. So you will understand who you should pay more attention to, which team members are going to help you drive the brainstorm, which are going to be not so active, but they are still here. And I hope you will not have prisoners, but yeah, it's possible that some of them might be not that happy to attend retros. It's very important to understand that from the start and start working with that person. And this way, you know your problems from the start and you know what to do. So that's the start. Then, what's worth doing on the first retro? If you plan to work with some health measurement techniques, it's important to start from the first retro. If you just measure them on the first retro, just check, for example, how the team is going on different aspects, you shouldn't be that involved into understanding what's wrong here or what's great here. It's just that you measure the baseline, and then you can, going forward, you will see how the team is progressing. I will not stop a lot on the health measurement techniques. If you'd like, we have a separate webinar for this one, where you can listen about that into details, about different techniques and so on. The idea is just that you have some process criteria important for team's effectiveness, and all the team does is just estimating how they feel this process works. Are we good at communication? Is it getting better, or is it getting worse? Let's move on to next stages of first retro. So this is the formula on how you can construct your first retrospective. So we've already talked about ice breaking. We've talked about health check. What is best doing in the main stage? And you see here we suggest start, stop, continue, and starfish. I will talk about these two a little later on other slides, but important to note here that you shouldn't be paying a lot of your effort on trying and diversify something on the first retro. This one should be basic, and you shouldn't be looking a lot at different angles. You should just focus on immediate action points, because your goal is to show the team that this is the meeting that's going to bring some change. So if you're having some action points, they are going to be actioned. So this is your main focus. For the closing ones, you can, of course, try different ones, but the one that I think would be good is checking their energy level. That will tell you how they are motivated for the next sprint. That's just a simple technique to show whether they are fully charged or they are low energy. So you will see how motivated they are and if you already have any problems with that. And to finish that on a positive note, you can try one word technique. Just ask the team to show what they wish, just in one word, what they expect of this project to be. Do they expect success or lots of new challenges or some experience? It will help you to understand what they expect and whether you can give them what they want with that project. So that's the start, and I hope when you start smoothly, then you might not have a lot of problems moving forward. But let's check other cases that may happen in your project. We've touched that a bit already. There are a set of techniques that are great at focusing on immediate action points. They are not that deep. They are not looking at process from different angle. These are three similar techniques: start, stop, continue, starfish, and ducky. You see what they mean, and they are really very similar. What's good about them is that they give you ability to look at the past, at the present, and at the future at the same time. They are very action-oriented, and they are just very focused on what you should do and what you should not be doing. So if you feel that your team knows the problems, if you feel that your team is ready to share something with you, you can always try those, and they will do what you need. Remember that the main goal of Retro is to come with the list of action points in order to improve your process. If your team is ready to give them, these techniques are great for that. And you can just mix them up to diversify it a little. Let's move on. Imagine that you've been working great with simple techniques and templates for some time, but you may notice that action points are pretty the same, that the problems we are looking at are pretty the same, and it's time for us to review the processes from a high-level point of view. Not just look at the of some aspect that bothers the team most, but just look at the whole process. And one thing here to emphasize is that if you want to review current processes, you should understand which aspect you'd like to review most. Is it the overall team process on how we are working together? Is it a set of our techniques we are using? Or do we want to look at how we are performing like a Scrum team? Depending on that, there are different ideas. We've already tried that for the start, but health check is a great one to check whether the bad things in your process are. You can choose different criteria that are important for your process. It might be something else which is not on the slide, but those 5 are common. Effectiveness, including you have the speed here, tech quality, communication, and goals. Those 5 will give you understanding where the problems might be. So when the team gives their vote here, you will look at the red points and you will see which aspects have most of red points, and this will show you that these bits need improving and you should dig into them deeper. Another technique that can be used here is team health. This is not looking at the processes, this is more to check how the team is doing. Are they still motivated? Do they enjoy what they're doing? Do they learn something new? So that's more for you to check whether the team is fine or not. You might be doing great in the processes, but if your team does not enjoy that, does not like that, sooner or later you will have issues with the process as well. So this one again will give you some inspiration on which types of problems you might need to focus and which ones you should plan a separate brainstorm for example. Another technique which can help you to find solutions, and actually you can combine health checks with this one. Health checks will help you understand problem areas. Lean coffee is going to help you find the right solutions. How this technique is working. Basically, you give the team set of sticky notes. For example, you can decide whether one should come up with 3 problems or 5 problems. So everyone should come up with something that they want to discuss. It might be a bigger problem area or something small, but the idea is that they start with sharing something that they would like to raise. You put all these sticky notes into the first column, which is called to do. This is our to do to discuss. Then everyone is going to vote. You can choose dot voting technique and give everyone 3 or 5 points to vote. They can vote for the sticky notes that they feel need to be discussed today. Then you range them by a number of votes. And this way you will have a pool of those topics that you need to discuss. What we are doing with them next? Basically, then we are taking the highest problem and we start discussing that problem. And we are discussing only one problem at a time. It's important to note that, of course, it depends on how long your meeting is. If you have 1 hour, you can, for example, agree that you are going to discuss 5 problems or 10 problems. And you will tell that, for example, we just going to spend 5 minutes to discuss one problem. You set up a timer, you start discussing that problem, and while you keep discussing that, you come with some action points and you will put them into the 4th column, which is marked as optional here. When the time is up, you just ask a question whether we need to proceed with this topic and take another 5 minutes, or we are done here, we are taking the next one. So this is the idea of how it's working. What is good about that is that you focus on solutions and you focus on the most painful problems for the team. So if you have a lot of that problems, that would help you to find some solutions to them. Let's move on to another one. Let's imagine you'd like to check how you are working as a Scrum team. Basically, if you feel that your team is great and you have nothing to improve, your health check is all green and everything's great, you don't have anything to discuss. Another source of inspiration for improvements might be Scrum process checklist. You can scan a QR code and you can get a version of that checklist. This one has been actually approved by Jeff Sutherland. He says that he used it for years, which looks like great. This checklist is available in different languages. Basically, it states some Scrum principles that you can check whether you are following them, starting with are we delivering every 2 weeks, and ending with things like are estimates written by the team or not. What is important to understand about this checklist, that it's absolutely fine if you don't have all the boxes ticked. And if you don't have all the boxes ticked, it doesn't mean that your process is not great, because it's agile and we should be following some of the principles, but we shouldn't be doing it just because it's written somewhere. So the idea of this checklist is that this is just going to give you some inspiration on what you might look at, just give you some ideas on what you're not doing yet and might be looking at adding to your regular process. This one is also great for if you are new to Scrum and your company has just started adopting that. This is great for you to check how you are where you are and how you are successing with that. So all of these are techniques for giving you inspiration. When you understand the problems you have, you can come back to action-oriented techniques, and you can use them again when your team knows what they should start doing or stop doing. Let's move on to case number 4. And this is a case where you'd like to focus on goals and goal alignment check. Again, if standard processes are not working and standard retros stop delivering value, you might need to look at some other angles. For the products and for the projects that have some big milestones, this is great to sometimes check where you are at your goals achievement. We all know that sprint is just a sprint. We are delivering some increment, but all of them usually form some bigger goal. So if you feel you're stuck with your sprint actions, look at bigger goals. And one of the techniques that can help you do that is a sailboat. What is great about this one? We have goals here, and it's actually great to check what your team will think about your goals and whether your goals are the same. That would be surprising if you have a goal and your team sees that differently. That would be a great insight at this point already. Then it gives you ability to check what moves you forward, what you are good at, and what's bringing you to the goal. Like we are going at a good speed, so we are going to deliver that big increment in 3 months. So everything's right. At the same time, this template gives you ability to look at the risks that might prevent you from achieving a goal. And at the same time, you can see what holds you back, what may not help you to achieve the goal. So I personally like this one because this is very focused not just on the processes as such and things you should be doing or should not be doing. This is very goal oriented, and yeah, everything you will come up after this retro is things that will help you achieve your goal more effectively. Another technique that might be also good here is a wrap technique: wishes, risks, appreciations, and puzzles. You don't have goals in here, but you can start with reminding the team what the goal is, like we want to deliver this thing, or we need to achieve some product metric or something like that. And this technique will help you again to look at the risks, which is very important to look at when you're looking at some goal achievement, and puzzles, those things that don't help you. But at the same time, it has wishes and appreciations that are that will help your team to give their own feeling about what they feel about this goal, what they wish, what they appreciate. So this is not just automatic action point, what we need to do or what we not need to do. This is what the team feels. So if they write that, they will become a little more attached to the goal that you have, because they will think about their wishes they might haven't thought before, or something they appreciate about moving to that goal. So that was the 4th one. Let's look at the 5th. You might have been great at achieving goals and your process is great, but I'm sure that every team have been there. There might be a sprint when you had a strict deadline and you see that the team is losing motivation. They are low energy, so you should motivate them. What can help you here? Let's look at the set of templates. For the ice breaking, you can start with something like weather technique that will show the team's mood. You will see who of the team have been affected by a stressful situation more. You will understand whether it was a dev team or your quality assurance team or anyone else. That will give you understanding on what was worse and what was tough for them. If you add one word and ask them what was toughest during that sprint or what you remember most, you will understand why it made them why it was so difficult for them. So was it that the job should have been done quick, or was it our lack of communication, or was it just something else? So that will already give you understanding of what was not so great. Important thing here is that after tough sprints, it's important to give team the voice so that they can release that tension. They can talk about everything that they didn't like, so that they feel that somebody is hearing them and somebody is here to listen to them. Health check techniques would be great here, and it's up to you to choose which one is best. I've added remote adaptation here because it might be that some of the problems wouldn't be that big if a person was in a better conditions in the office, for example, or something like that. So yeah, it's worth checking what was wrong. What you shouldn't do is don't try to solve all the problems right now in that retro. The team is going to be in low energy. They might be not that positive, more negative. So your task is to make them feel better and to make them feel positive. So for the main stage, you can choose techniques that would focus them on lessons learned, focus them on things that we were good at. Of course, we need to listen to all the negative things, but we shouldn't be that proactive at trying to solve them, because this is not the right time. Just to look at those two techniques a little bit into more detail, because you might have not seen them before. So what is FLAP? It's future considerations, lessons learned, accomplishments, and problem areas. So the main thing here is that you have the lessons learned, so that you motivate team to look at everything that happened from a lessons learned perspective, so that this wasn't something very bad, but this is our experience, this is what we've learned, this is that will stay for us for the next sprints. And at the same time, you have accomplishments, you have some positive things you should be looking at, and you have future considerations and problem areas. So this is very high level for the team to give their ideas of what needs improving in the future. Why is 4 L's great? Liked, learned, lacked, and long for? Is that it also has ability to talk about something we learned and we liked. What is great here that all these words sound a little bit more personal than other templates, because it motivates the team to talk about what they personally liked or didn't like. So this is more person oriented, and this may also play well when you need everyone to release the tension. Just to go back and look at closing, thank you cards, kudo cards is must have here, because you need to finish this on a positive note, and it would be great if the team find energy to thank each other for the things that were great. And you can of course measure their energy level after the end of the sprint. By the way, you can do that both at the start and at the end. Probably some of the things discussed and some of the techniques played, probably somebody will change their energy level already, but it's fine if not. Let's move on to the number 6. Think out of the box. Basically, all the techniques that are not standard, they will allow you to talk out of the box. All the things that we've talked before, they will already do that, but let's look at it one more time from a different angle. So when you feel that your team is not delivering any improvements, process improvements anymore, you don't have a lot of time to do the process review, to do the lean coffee, or to do Scrum checklist. You should just adapt your your routine of retrospective. You should just adapt it a little. For the ice breaking, you can start with something like weather to check how they are ready for brainstorming. You can actually use the ESVP this time as well. But for the one word, you should be more creative. Your task here is to activate their creative thinking for that retro. So try choosing something like, for example, you can ask them about what superhero you feel you were this sprint. How would you describe our product if it was a movie, or it was a song or a book? This will make them think out of the box already, because nobody will answer that question just from the top of their head, and this is a good start. Health checks are great, and we know that. If you have time for them, you can choose which one is best and look at problems from a different angle. But probably the most important thing here is the main stage. I've suggested wrap and flap here because they are not that popular, but they can help you diversify and just change something. They are non-standard, so if you choose anything that's not standard here, it will already make your team look at the process from a different angle. So these two are just examples of what you could try. And for the closing one, again, something like measuring their energy and motivation for the next sprint, and something like one word about what they feel about next sprint to see how they are motivated. So the main idea here is that you need to start with something creative so that the team gets out of the box, and then you can change some of the well-known techniques for the main stage. Of course, if you have more time, it would be great to review current processes and use some advanced techniques, but that will also give you some change. And finally, let's look at number 7, the end of the project. I will not tell you how important it is to end the project. I'm sure you all understand that it's a place for the team to gather, to look at their achievements, to look at the processes, and to celebrate that this is the end, we've made it, and we are great. So what would be the main objectives? It depends on how long the project or your milestone was, but you need everyone to first of all remember what it was, because I feel that many of team members will not remember a lot, so you will need to help them. You should summarize achievements, gather lessons learned, explore processes, and list improvements for the future. Praise, celebrate, motivate, of course. Let's look at how we can achieve those. And here is a timeline technique. You may take this exercise for yourself as a Scrum Master and probably create a beautiful timeline with all the important events that were here on the project, with all important achievements. But you can ask your team to do that. Why it is great? They can create their own timeline. It is great because you will definitely see different things here. Different people will remember different things. Some of them will mention some process improvements that were great and made a huge change. Some of them will remember some deliveries and sprint ends or something else. So it's a great reflecting technique to look at all the main achievements that were there. And at the same time, it's funny, if you have ability for the team to draw, you can do that in some online painting tool, or you can try some online tools for doing timelines, like infographics or something like that. It will make them play a little and at the same time remember what they did and what they were great at. So this is for the start. Then again, if you are measuring some health parameters, it's great for you to look at the results, to look at the last sprint and to look at your first sprint and how you were going through this process and which are your best achievements during the project. For the main stage, you already know them. Again, templates that help you look at lessons learned, at some future considerations, accomplishment, and things we liked. So either flap or 4LS, again, going to be good here. And it's important to close it on a positive note. Of course, you can use kudo cards, thank you cards. You can choose one word to describe the phase or year. Another idea that is a combination of those is you can try and ask a team to write a review. This might be a review to your team or to the process or to the phase. Just ask them to imagine that they are writing a review somewhere in the App Store or on Amazon. Just given a number of stars and given some comment to that. You will see that they will at the same time thank someone and tell what was great. And of course they will mention something that they didn't like, but all in all, it will help you finish and wrap up your final meeting with some positive things and at the same time some lessons. So to look at the structure of your end of project retro, yeah, you can start with timeline, you can start with one word, you can check health, and yeah, for the closing, something to celebrate, to motivate, to say thanks to each other. Probably you'd like to open a bottle of champagne or do some small presents for the team, so that they feel that it was all great and they have only positive things about the process. That was the last one. Just one thing I wanted to show you. is that in Timbo we've been working on those sets of different techniques and templates based on different cases on the project. So you can filter all the retro techniques by your goal. That will save you time, and that will help you choose the right ones straight away. Yeah, just you can try that. And as a conclusion, I'd like to tell that we all understand that diverse retros might help you, but when you understand what the techniques are and which of them are best for what, it will not only ease you the pain of choosing, but it will also give you some better results because you are choosing them for the context. I remember that when I was studying all that templates, it was like, wow, there are a lot of techniques and they all seem great, but which one should I choose? Is it just a random one, or why is this one is going to be better? But when you understand which technique is best at what, then it's all much easier. Yeah, we will be sharing the slides with everyone who's attended the webinar. So I'm leaving some of the quick links for you on the Scrum checklist, on the Lean Coffee technique, and you can also read some articles about this or that template. That will probably inspire you of choosing them, and you might find your project cases and your favorite template that will help you. That's it that I wanted to talk about today. Thank you all who've been with us till the end. For those who made it, we have a small present from a Timbo product. You can scan a QR code, just fill in a short form with your feedback about the webinar, what you liked and what you didn't like, what topics you'd like to hear next. And we will grant you a 2 months free access of our professional version of Timbo. And now I think we still have some time for questions. I will check the questions in the chat, and I will also look at some that were sent during registration. Just give me some short moment. Yeah, I see there have been a question around ESVP technique. Should it be anonymous or not? That's a good question. It all depends on whether you'd like to. So, yeah, you see, we sometimes use anonymous retros, but sometimes no. If you use anonymous ones, it helps you. It helps your team to be more honest, and some of them wouldn't tell you that they are prisoners if they were not anonymous. I would recommend to start with anonymous one. I'm sure that every Scrum Master project manager will guess which of the team members might have been prisoners. But even if not, and even if you see that one of your team is a prisoner, you wouldn't know who of them is a prisoner, but you can work with the whole team to make sure that the retros are good. You can tell them why retro is important, and you should try adding some gaming techniques so that they start loving retro. But the most important thing is to show them that this is not just a meeting to have fun, to talk to each other, but this is a meeting that's delivering change. If you're going to show them that you have action points and then these action points are actioned and you have those process improvements, people will sooner or later see that this is working. And I'm sure that every prisoner, even if you don't know who it was, will change their mind after that. I don't see any more questions in the chat, so I'll answer a few from our registration form. I hope they are going to be useful for you too. There have been a question around metrics. What are the metrics which the team can be motivated? As far as I understand, metrics that can help you motivate the team. I will tell you about the metrics that we do track in our team. And usually these are the metrics that are goals related. If you have a goal and the team knows them, and you have metrics associated with goal achievement, it will show the team how you are progressing, whether you are good or not at achieving that, and that will definitely motivate them to go further. Of course, it's important to understand what drives everyone's team members' motivation, what they like most. And you can try, actually, you can measure team health and understand what's important for them. And that can also be one of the things you can track. One of the things that we also try to keep track on is giving feedback. So very often the team is not motivated if they don't feel that they do the right thing. So giving feedback to team members, sharing feedback from the clients and stakeholders is very important, so that you can show them that this is not just they've done something and everyone's forgotten about them. No, that's something great they've done, and you should mention that to them. I think we have 5 more minutes, and I will answer just a few questions. There was a question how to encourage people to talk during retrospectives. Many people don't like to talk in front of others. And I will answer that you can try anonymous mode here, which can actually work here fine. And sometimes during retros, you ask everyone to voice what they've written, but you cannot do that. You can just tell that you guys just fill in the sticky notes with your ideas, and I am, as a Scrum Master, I will read them for you, so that they are not shy to talk, and they can type it. I'm sure that this introversial people will like that option. The last question I would like to answer is actually, there was a question about daily stand-ups, and I would recommend to check the webinar devoted to daily stand-ups. You will find different techniques and rules on what can help you make them effective. How do you make your team engaged and look forward to retro? I think I've replied to that one already with all the techniques. The advice would be try making it less formal, try some ice-breaking techniques, and first of all, make people feel relaxed. This is a great feeling when, if you understand that your team has some common jokes, and that they have something that no one else will understand because they're not in the context. It means that the team is already has some connection between each other. So try creating some moments for them that will help them find those this common ground and something informal in common. I think that would be it with the question. Thank you very much for joining this session. I really appreciate that you attended that. Feel free to scan the QR code and give your feedback. We would appreciate that a lot. See you on the next webinars, and just tell us which of the topics you'd like to learn next time, and we will try to prepare something useful for you. Thank you very much. Bye bye, guys.